question doesn't arise in their life, maybe not at all, or doesn't rise till they are 50 or 60. The very question can kindle the thought process in them. And then start finding what you want.
What was it like for you? How did you know what your purpose was?
Well, I had this idea when I was even a child. I used to say there are people all over the world and I had to do what they meet everybody.
How old were you when you had that realization that this was your true calling?
Well, this, I would say when I was in my school, maybe 8, 9-year-old. So, you know, kids of that age usually want to have stamps and currencies, coins. They were all, those days stamps were a very big fascination among people, students. They would collect stamps from various countries. I would say, don't worry, I have people all over the world. I'll give you whatever stamps you need. And whatever coins you need. And then they would ask my mother, you have relatives, friends everywhere in the world? My mother would say no. And my ears were pulled many times for life. It appeared to be a big lie. That was the only lie I would ever say. And my mother was bewildered. Why the boys telling such things? And my family is all over the world. And every day.
So why were you telling such things? Was there a voice in your head that told you that this is how it was going to be? What was it that made you say these things?
You know, we have another dimension within all of us. That's beyond the rational thinking. You can call it the gut feeling or intuitive upsurge that you may get sometimes. Or a vision what might happen to you in the future. These things, as we all have, we simply have not cultivated it. We have not, like we all have 10 fingers, but you can play guitar or sitar very well. Then it is only a matter of training, perhaps, that can kindle these abilities that we all have.
So is there a process to being able to kindle these abilities? Is
I
there a
didn't do
process?
anything, for example, I didn't do anything. Probably it's a gift to me. But I'm sure that people will...
For those of us who are not as gifted as you.
You can definitely cultivate it. It's not that much beyond anybody.
You know, speaking of cultivating it, and it takes me back to what you said about how you had this vision of the world being your family as you were a child, about 8 years old. And it was Picasso, I think, who said that every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist when we grow up. And it's that childlike innocence, it's the ability to see the world as is that children enjoy, which as we grow older, the layers of how we perceive things, how people perceive us, it's the ego that gets in the way. How do we retain the childlike innocence even as we grow up? How do we retain the artist in us?
First of all, trust in yourself. Faith or trust in yourself. Second is your ability to handle the stressful situation. Your ability to take criticism. And your ability to feel connected with everybody, irrespective of what the response or reaction from others are.
Okay, so that's 3 things that you've said, so let me pick up on each one of those one by one. What stresses you out? Does anything stress you out today?
Stress is, too much to do, too little time and no energy. This is the formula of stress.
So do you feel stressed or not?
Do I look stressed? You can look at somebody and find out. Use your intuition here.
Okay, I'm using my intuition. So you're not feeling the stress. But Doctor, are you feeling the stress?
Picking up what Guruji said, the first thing basically which makes you happy and de-stressed all the time is your purpose of your life. Once you have found the purpose, half your problems get solved right there. The second thing is how you dream, how you take flights of fantasy, and with what integrity you pursue it will be the rest of your life. So, I, as you know, work 12 hours, 14 hours a day and then frequently woken up at night. But as long as it's related to my ambition, I don't feel any stress at all. It's dealing with the vagaries of life outside of your mission or of your stream that does reduce the stress. But you cannot be detached from your environment.
Right.
So, talk about negative energy, positive energy. What was just said was, as long as you are experiencing and exuding power, positive energy, you will not feel stressed and you will not be miserable. Right? The moment negative thoughts come in your mind, that's what not only stresses you but your environment. But the difference is, if you encounter a person with a negative thought, don't get upset, don't react, like you said. Why? Because you are experiencing it only once. He's experiencing his own life of negativity, so you pity him if you don't get angry with him. That's the formula which I have adopted in my life, to stay quite happy, quite cool, and I don't react and get stressed from all these things.
And I think you hit the nail on the head. If I were to pick up on the point that Dr. Trehan made there, the sense of detachment, that to realize that you can only control your actions, you cannot control what somebody else does, you cannot control the external, you can only control the internal. How do you hone that skill?
Well, broaden your context to life. It's just like a doctor walks into a hospital and he sees the patient and he knows they are patient and he cannot get upset over the patient. Like a doctor, a psychologist walks into a psychiatrist's ward and whatever they are speaking, it doesn't touch him. It's immaterial. So he doesn't get upset for the patient. So whenever someone is stressed, someone is agitated, someone is behaving in a civilized or cultured manner, you have to see them as patients. And you should play the role of a doctor if you can, or at least as a nurse.
Since we're talking about playing the role of doctors and nurses, one of the criticisms of modern medicine is that it sees patients as their symptoms. It sees them in parts. You have a headache, you have a leg ache, you have a heart problem. It doesn't look at the holistic picture, and that perhaps is the message that Sri is also trying to allude to when he says broaden the context. As a firm believer in the magic and the principle of homeopathy, which actually says that there should be individualization, i.e. I'm different from you, I'm different from him, and hence my remedy is different from yours. Is that now going to be the way forward when you integrate spirituality, modern medicine, alternative medicine? What is the road ahead as far as medicine is concerned?
What you are alluding to basically is that the human being is half physical, half mind. What Guruji was talking about, we had this conversation before we came here, that you align your body, your chakras, whatever name you want to give it, has to be in balance. And to bring it in balance are the techniques that are taught by Art of Living, by Guruji, Sudarshan Chakra, and all Sudarshan Kriya and all that. Now, whatever form you use to reach that level of we describe it in modern medicine as the synchrony of sympathetic and a parasympathetic tone. Sympathetic tone is what we describe as flight from fear. You're always ready for anger, fight something, be prepared. And parasympathetic is calm to calm. So if we use, and modern medicine is, you have a disease, let me give you something from outside to fix it. Either it's a poison or you cut it out or you put radiation. Very, very effective, very traumatic, very expensive. So I said to Guruji, what we are working on is, and I'm using the medium of yoga, but what I've discovered from his practices and art of living that we can actually find the synergy between the two and come up with a fusion medicine which will not only help the person individually, because you'll individualize it, but also make it the most powerful medicine which will be more effective, less traumatic and less expensive. That's what India needs and 4 billion people around us need. So it would be that if our collaboration, if we can collaborate and make a whole holistic approach to it, and I call it the fusion of new Indian medicine, which will come out of India, in my belief. It will happen in the next 5 to 7 years, and it shall rule the world by way of providing that combined approach to every individual, where you're not only treating their body, but their mind and soul.
Shri, we're talking about the India opportunity, and Dr. had mentioned India being on the cusp of the evolution of a new form of medicine, new modern medicine, which is an integration of the principles of modern medicine as we know it today with the practices which take us back to our traditions, and whether it's alternative meditation and so on and so forth, yoga, spirituality, etc. What do you think needs to be done to ensure that this is a reality as you pointed out over the next 5 to 7 years?
No, I totally agree with Dr. Trehan. What he says is the need of the hour was over. People are looking for something that could really bring a total solution, not identifying a part of the problem and solving just a part. Here, I want to bring to your notice in our Charak Samhita, Ayurvedic treatise. This is the only materia medica of the world which is written in poetic form. It's all in poems. Let's say the first one says Vastavu. That is your daily routine. Dinacharya, Rutucharya, what you have to eat, what you should not eat, and how you should breathe, what. All this has been there. But unfortunately, even in India, even among the Ayurvedic physicians, this has not been practiced. We are just taking only the curative part and ignoring the other aspects which Ayurveda has, you find in Ayurvedic scriptures.
So is this something that you could perhaps, are you looking at reviving, nurturing this?
See, today yoga, naturopathy, of course pranayama, kriya, meditation have proven beyond doubt that they have a definite impact on the health of the society, health of the individual and the health of the society as well. And we come up with a fusion medicine that would definitely help billions of the time.
One of the other things that perhaps we could look at exporting, courtesy the art of living, is dispute resolution, conflict resolution. And that is something that you've been working on from Colombia to Syria to Jammu and Kashmir. As we look around the world today, and you just have to open the newspapers in the morning, you have to look at your television screens, there is very little to feel hopeful about. There's very little to feel optimistic about. In a situation like this, where do you find hope? Where do you find reason to believe that tomorrow things will get better? What is the way forward?
Are you asking the question to me or what?
To you.
I have no question.
No, I would say just as Dr. Trehan, when he walks into the hospital, there are so many patients, and that doesn't rattle him, right? He knows these many people have to be treated and more are coming every day. And he does, and then when you need to open more hospitals. In the same way, when your purpose is clear and when you are confident what you are doing or what you are offering is effective and it is showing result, and you just continue doing it. Yeah. And my passion is take whatever people think as impossible, break it out and do it.
What is your dream today? What do you dream of?
I dream of a world which is free from conflict, free from stress, where people live as
and it's wonderful, and I hope that more people dream of a world free of conflict and world free of stress, so that we can actually get towards achieving that. But how do we get to achieving that goal? Because as I said, this seems like such a faraway reality. It seems like a dream that is unattainable at this point in time. If you look at any pocket of the world, there is strife, there is conflict, people do not see eye to eye. It's a battle between the state and its own people. It's a battle between people and its people.
See, you dream about, dream has sense only when you dream about something which appears to be impossible. If it's a possibility, then it's not called a dream, you are just having a dream. So I feel that we should all be,
What would you say?
at 20 years ago, 30 years ago, or 40 years ago, nobody imagined that everyone will walk around with cell phone. I think cell phone is my competitor. I have not reached as many individuals as a cell phone. So we need to reach out to people and tell them, hey, look, how can you manage your mind? How you can clear that positive, make a positive energy around you, clear those negative strengths that are bothering you or you're carrying around you. This basic education, peace education you may call it, or education in spirituality you may call it, education about yourself you may call it, is needed in the world. It's like dental hygiene, you know. Unless and until your parents have asked you to brush your teeth, you didn't come up with a toothbrush when you were born from the womb of the mother. You were introduced to toothbrush to keep the dental hygiene. Similarly, you need to be introduced to keep mental hygiene. And mental hygiene today is the most important thing. It can keep the families united, it can keep people safe in their mind and societies more harmonious.
Since you're talking about keeping societies more harmonious, and I ask you this in a practical sense, whenever there is conflict, whenever there is dispute, the natural reaction is cease all talks. There should be no communication between the two governments. Still, there is some sort of definitive action that's taken forward. It's not just India, it's the world over. Is greater, deeper engagement the more preferred route, as opposed to saying, look, we're not going to engage with each other till you put something on the table or till I put something on the table. What is the way forward?
I strongly believe in dialogue. I strongly believe in communication. But when it fails, then they have to find other alternative methods to make the person listen to.
What is the alternative method?
That I will leave it to politicians. I am not going to.
We shouldn't leave anything to politicians, by the way. I firmly believe that we should leave very little to the politicians. You trust politicians?
I cannot put all politicians in a category of untrustworthy. No, it's not correct to do that. I never have any prejudice or bias about any person, any community, and I feel it is not a healthy intellect which holds prejudice against any profession, whether it's spirituality or politics or business. No, we have to see as a fact. I only meant to say it's not my job to say what politicians should do or what actions they should take when the communication takes place. My job is to say how we can improve communication, and I'll leave it to that.
In a world...
What do you say?
Whatever you're doing it right. Look at the smiles and
the applause. And the applause.
Fantastic.
You're absolutely right, Doctor. But they say, Shri, that a teacher is one who makes himself progressively unnecessary. In a room full of these people here today, we're all smiling, we're all applauding on practically every word that you're saying. Do you find that your role as a teacher is being rendered unnecessary every day, or do you believe that the world still needs what you have to say, what you have to communicate?
No, I don't think anything about myself at all. And I give total freedom for people to do whatever they want to do.
There are no do's and don'ts.
Who am I to give them do's? I only give them freedom. Everybody, I tell them, wake up, you are a free bird. And experience the inner freedom. And if you find your inner freedom, you don't need to be tutored what you should do, what you should not do. Common sense will prevail. But when the common sense is lacking, and you are engaged in stress, and narrow-mindedness, that is exactly when you need some help. And I tell you, everyone is a teacher. No one should shy away from being a teacher. I cannot deny. By default, everybody is a teacher because you learn from everybody either what one should do or one should not do. Either way, you have no escape from being a teacher.
Well, that is right. I want to ask you, since we're talking about the opportunity and we're talking about how perhaps we can change the way that we enjoy our freedom. In schools, for instance, we're taught a certain way. We're taught not to be inquisitive. We're taught not to be curious. We're taught to follow a certain way of achieving a certain result. It's all result-oriented as opposed to being more knowledge-oriented. How do we change that?
The spirit of inquiry is basic and basic to the Eastern philosophy. If you say, take the Eastern philosophy, it has never ever denied or denigrated science. They have always said Tattva Jnana, that is, understand the five elements, earth, water, fire, air, and then go to mind, intellect, memory, ego, and the self. So we in the East, we never said, I am telling you something so you believe. Even if you take Gita, after saying all that Sri Krishna says in the end of the Gita, you think in your head, if it appeals to your intellect, then you accept what that. So we have always encouraged spirit of inquiry. So self-inquiry, who am I, what is this? This is basic, and if someone says, don't ask questions, don't inquire, there will be great injustice, not just to philosophy, but to humanity.
What is the dharma of humanity today as you see it, Shri?
Humanity itself is a
But how do you evoke a sense of empathy? How do you evoke a sense of feeling?
You know, all these positive qualities, empathy, compassion, a sense of service, sharing, caring, is all natural to everybody. It's distress, mistrust, and all these other, the things that we have acquired due to circumstances or lack of education. I'm saying acquired due to lack of education. So these things have somehow shrouded this true nature that we are. That's why I say inside every victim, there is a culprit. Inside every culprit, there is a victim crying for help. So we need to get out of the culprit consciousness on one side, victim consciousness on the other side, feel healthy and safe. In short, I would say a violence-free society, disease-free body, fever-free breath, confusion-free mind, inhibition-free intellect, trauma-free memory is the birth, sorrow-free soul is the birthright of every
Family talks at a very high spiritual level. If you can get rid of ego and greed, you're half cured. And if you can get rid of jealousy from yourself or from your soul, then you're fully cured.
Have you won each of those battles?
I think I have.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. The way to do it really is because what the pollutants to the mind, like Ramji said, you're born actually a good person. You were not born a rotten person, but the external forces or whatever your mind spins in you which you do not control actually leads you to these three things. You study any situation of conflict, you will find these three elements somewhere.
How do you differentiate between aspiration and greed? Let me ask both of you that question. You talked about creating and building the largest medical facility in India, in Asia. How do you separate aspiration from
The
greed?
aspiration is a positive force.
Yes, but there is a tipping point. There is a tipping point.
Unlimited dreaming is the best thing you can do for yourself. And like we say, if you're not better today than yesterday, then you wasted 24 hours. So when you ask Swamiji, are you done? Are other people can do your teaching? I was surprised. He said, no. Every morning I get up with the next step in my life, which I'm going to try to spread to the rest of the people. So I'm saying one simple fact, that you, because it's been strung by what the sayings have been today. One is saying your sense of purpose, your pursuit of that, which gives you that purpose in life, keeps you away from negative thoughts. And then, if in addition you can actually avoid the temptation of ego, greed, and jealousy, which are emotions which are born, which are natural to come at some point or the other, but you need to control them. And whatever technique you can learn to control these, and that's where Sudarshan Kriya and other meditative techniques actually come into play to improve your life. And I think that's the message, that if you can master your own negative energy, you will be the first, the happiest person, you will accomplish the most, and you will have the best of people around you. That, to me, is the formula, simple formula from the ground level.
Please add to the simple formula shared by Dr. Trehan. Sri.
Yeah, adding to this, I would say, for God's sake, don't try to get rid of your ego. It may appear to be completely contradictory than what Dr. Trehan said, but it is not so. Why? I would say, you think you have an ego and you try to get rid of it, and that becomes the biggest problem. See, just be natural. The antidote for ego is be natural. Sahajta, just look at it. Feel at one with everybody. Don't create walls between you and I. If others have walls and prejudice, it is their problem. From your side, you determine, I'm not going to keep any walls between me and I. I'm going to keep it. That can bring so much freedom and sense of sanity within you. I know you don't have to prove yourself to somebody. When you feel they are all part of you, you don't have to prove yourself out. So then the ego question completely dissolves what Dr. Trehan said. Get out of the ego. Just means that you don't need to prove yourself. That doesn't mean you lose your self-confidence. People usually confuse between ego and self-confidence. And determination. Determination, confidence, and with a sense of belongingness. Two things. One is sensibility and sensitivity. Like there are people who are very sensible, but they are not sensitive to others. They appear very good. There are others who are very sensitive, and they become really mushy sort of, emotional in an emotional state, and they are not sensible at all. Life, you need the balance of sensitivity and sensibility. And this you can achieve, and I feel this is the purpose of it.
You were talking about finding the balance, and Dr. was also talking about alignment. And at the end of the day, whether it's yoga or it's medicine or it's communication, and it finally boils down to alignment and direction. But we've spent a large part of our conversation talking about purpose. Let me now talk to you about the other way, and that's passion. How did you find what you were passionate about?
Anything you do, you should do it with passion. Like a child does everything, with such passion. We need three things in life: passion, dispassion, and compassion. If you lack passion, then there is no life. You'll be like a vegetable. You are depressed. Most people who are depressed, they don't have passion. So they are depressed. And those who do not have this passion, they are suffering from insomnia and other psychological illnesses. Every night when you go to bed, you just leave everything and you sleep. That is a sign of dispassion. And to the degree of dispassion you have, that much well you get good sleep. So somewhere you have to let go. So like breathing in is passion, breathing out is dispassion. Every single human being is endowed with dispassion. Otherwise, you cannot grow up. As a child, you are holding on to those toys, you are holding on to the pallu of your mother, and then somewhere when you grow up, you get rid of all those and you move on, right? So the things which you drop is because there is dispassion towards it, and it is necessary. So as your consciousness expands, as your awareness improves, it's easy for you to let go of things. One day you have to let go of it. We have to come to this reality, project our mind in the future, and see one day I have to let go of it, as well you do it right now. Mentally, once you let go of everything, there is dispassion. Once there is dispassion, I tell you there is compassion. No one can be called human beings if they lack compassion. Compassion comes by connectivity. Dispassion comes with knowledge or awareness about life or bigger context to life. Passion is part of life which we are all endowed with. As child we have got passion, and nurturing it is missing.
I want to pick up on the second part that you talked about, which is the principle behind this passion. I can't remember who it was, but somebody said perhaps the hardest asana is the asana of having to let go. In India, where you have a, conceptually, yes, you know that, you one day have to leave the earth and so don't hold on to your material belongings. But every family, every household, they're saving for my children, I'm saving for my grandchildren, I'm building this property for, and that's the culture that you...
There's nothing wrong.
No,
They should have it. But they have a good night's sleep when they go to bed. They should remove their shoes and coats. You can't go to bed with your coat and shoes off. They should be used as coats and shoes, but not as, a part of your skin. Right?
But sometimes this consumes you, right? This envelops you, it consumes you, it makes you do things.
When you don't have bigger context to life, that's what happens.
So as you look at India today, and we're talking about the India opportunity, what is the opportunity that you see for India as it stands today?
First of all, Indian youths need to dream bigger. Number two, they need to be confident that they can succeed, and India has greatest opportunity, has offered the greatest opportunity in many fields. We know that 1.2 billion population, this country has enormous opportunity. So they must just wake up and realize we have opportunity. And our biggest enemy is our lazy. We should get rid of lazy.
We're lazy?
Pardon?
You think we're lazy?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Intellectually or physically or both?
Or intellectually, spiritually also. We are lazy. So laziness. Third is, we don't learn about the food habits. We don't attempt our own healthy habits. Awareness about it is lacking. Many people are so tired because they have vitamin D3 deficiency and B12. They don't know why they get so tired, and they don't work, they become lazy. In Ayurvedic terms, too much kapha. Kapha imbalance, pitta imbalance, vata imbalance. You can see that personality strains every day. So learn a little bit about your health. It should be mandatory. And then learn some skills. When other countries are 80-90% skilled, our country is only 3-4% skilled. And there is tremendous opportunity to skill up our country, and I'm happy that our Prime Minister has floated this plan for the country. I'm sure that they'll be skilling very soon. India will succeed.
We were talking, yes, sorry.
Skills that is necessary, and also India has a lot to offer in the global scenario. And India is so good in the service industry. Even today, the Indian doctors of Indian origin are the most respected, whether it's US or Europe or anywhere else. Dr. Trehan, so they are in big demand. Similarly, our drivers or any skills, engineers, they have all achieved something. They are very good. Once they learn it, they are on top, they are very good at their job. We only need to put them on track and get more and more, getting skilled and actually export skills like either cooking or garment industry or spiritual practices, yoga, meditation. Today we need 6 million yoga teachers in the world, and people love to learn it from the source, as they say, from Indians. We need 6 million Indian teachers who can teach yoga around the world. So these are the demands the world is posing today, and India has to make up to it.
You spoke about several opportunities that India can capitalize on. We were talking about the role of politics and the role of politicians. What is the dharma of a government today in India? Or what should be the dharma of a government in India today?
See, the dharma is listen to people and provide it. Provide what is needed to the people. That's why government is there. And listen to them, listen to their grievances. If you don't listen to them, you are not doing your dharma. And if you are simply listening, not providing to them, then also you are failing. So to put it in short, you can say, listen and give and serve.
Doc, any questions that you have for Sri? Anything that you've always wanted to ask him?
No, I actually am a believer that we actually have divided ourselves with such thick walls. Basically, if you look at the traditional sciences and the body sciences, they are afraid of each other. We, as practitioners of modern medicine, have developed a sort of this thing for the traditional ones saying, oh, you know, they don't know what they're doing, hocus pocus, this, that. Although there is a huge science, 5,000 years or more worth of science in there, and their own methodology. So, what Sri Shiji said was about customization. That part of science, the ancient science, you call it, traditional medicine, you call it, whatever, Ayurveda, Veda, whatever you call it, has a huge amount of knowledge in there which was deliberately pushed aside by modern medicine in the fear that they cannot, their own belief in themselves that everything has to be proven by a laboratory test will get diluted by the science. So I am at an advantage here, that's why I was talking to Guruji. Was the point that I practice the highest form of modern medicine, the most invasive part of modern medicine. We save huge number of lives. But that does not mean that everybody, so we are now talking about predictive medicine, which will be an amalgam, a fusion between Ayurveda, yoga, spirituality, all these things combined into modern medicine. So I feel I'm at an advantage. I can sit here and say, admire or accept what Guruji is saying, because most people will not. And I actually said that I need to expose some of the leaders in medicine, modern medicine, to this spirituality so that we can become better doctors, that we can treat the people holistically rather than just giving them medicines or giving them just recipes. We are already practicing it. But coming back to Gita, there are 7 lessons for doctors in the discourse of Krishna. And most importantly, I tell you is what you said also, listen. When a patient comes to you, he just does not have a pain or a headache or anything like that. He has a whole baggage behind it. He is insecure. His family is insecure. He's fearful of what's going to come out. He will not know what the end will be, and more importantly, what kind of financial burden it's going to create on them. So if you don't listen to them, if you just, before the word comes out of their mouth, you start writing the prescription, you have actually failed as a doctor. Okay. Second is that don't just listen to the disease and write the prescription for, yeah, you've got a heartache, let me get to an angiogram and that's it. You must answer all that you heard from them, because they will go incomplete. They may trust you and say, okay, he gave me the right prescription, but will never be mentally satisfied with your prescription to say, they heard and answered all my questions. And the third thing is very important is that whatever you can do to allay those fears along the line, so supposing it's financial, you give them hope. You say, look, we'll try to help you. At least when they leave your desk, they will know that even if it's a big burden, there's somebody who said, I'll try to help you. So these three things, if you can actually communicate, you become a very better doctor. Now if you say, I'm also going to do your psychological analysis and try to help you with saying, please do meditation, do this, do that, then you have actually ascended to a different level. And that's why I believe that collaborating between the two forms will produce the finest medicine there is in the world. And it will naturally become
You usually say in our ashrams, sabhas, living campuses, say we heal the broken heart. In that sense, we do the same job. Two different ends. Yeah, broken hearts are mended here. What I'd like to point out here is, see, just because something is modern, it is not all good. Just because something is ancient, it is not all bad. This attitude we must take. I just want to share a small incident that happened here in Delhi, 1980. At the time, I had organized a conference between the doctors of AIDS and some of the Vaidyas, Ayurvedic Vaidyas. You know, we just wanted to have a dialogue. So the Vaidyas said, you know, turmeric is very important. It is Vayastha and it arrests the aging of the person. And the allopathy doctor said, just they are now. It just treatment, it has no medicinal or any nutritional value. They totally dismissed. But whereas the Ayurvedic physicians, doctor, they said, no, turmeric is the most important thing. And today, after so many 30, 35 years, modern science has identified that turmeric has 20 qualities of a life-saving drug. Similarly with butter, those days वो वैद्य से हमसे कहते महाराज खूब झट के मक्खन खाइए कुछ नहीं होगा।
आप खाते हैं क्या मक्खन?
थोड़ा सा। मक्खन खाइए और कहते हैं उससे कुछ नहीं दूध बिगड़ेगा। And doctor says no cholesterol, it's very bad for you. You know, but today modern medicine. See how everything is growing, we must accept it. Modern medicine has come up to the stage now. They say butter is good for you, it has vitamin K, in fact, it can help.
Swamiji, the truth is always somewhere in between.
Yes.
And that is why, both if you are confused, follow the middle path, because we stop eggs for 20. In fact, the doctors from the US who actually came up with the eggs theory that's bad for you have actually officially
That's a new theory.
Officially apologize. Say to all those people who were deprived of eggs all these years, we are sorry we did. Go ahead and eat them.
Same in butter also.
So I'm saying,
butter has a soft
but little bit of everything is good as long as you stay within the rest.
We have to have an open mind, as Dr. Trehan said. You cannot have prejudice about anything. I mean, the moment you understand that you have some prejudice, that you are close to ideas, there ends the whole growth, evolution. So we must have an open mind. not just everything in Ayurveda is right, correct. In those days they didn't have, ways to prepare, they prepared in mud pots. There's no need for you to put it all in the mud pot to do it today. This would be very unhygienic also. So you must have an open mind and a scientific temper. Spirituality with a scientific temper and science with a human and open mindset is the most desirable thing I think.
Yeah, very well said. I think we're pretty much at the end of our time here, so let me.
You want to come?
Yes, do you have some questions or do you have? Okay. Great. Oh, excellent. So we can have. Let me just read it out for the benefit of everybody who's joining us here. This is a memorandum of understanding between Gurudev Sri Ravi Shankar of Art of Living and Dr. Naresh Trehan from Vedanta Medicity. They've agreed to cooperate and collaborate on bringing together traditional practices, spirituality, and principles of modern medicine to take forward India's strength in these two areas further as a global exhibition started in 2017. So when I left the two of you to sign.
I want to tell you this just happened spontaneously right here. You didn't think about it.
That's the power of contemplation.
Actually, I'm not an office bearer of any of my trusts.
So you don't have to sign these rights?
So, my trustees will do this job today. I'm going. Let me invite Tripta Davanyam, a trustee, to co-sign to be very, very